astro friends. This is Astrology AF, the show that talks everything astrology, above and below the totally real, not at all illusory sky. I'm Sunny, your hostess with over 30 years of chart reading experience.
And I'm Boots, your hostling with almost 30 years experience questioning innocent people to tears. We're here to walk with you through the twinkling starlight into the basic, the advanced, and the obscure.
Hello and welcome to Astrology AF. I'm Boots.
And I'm Sunny.
And today we are going to be talking about the sun. That one...
Not me.
Not this one. The one, her namesake. That thing up in the sky, the most notable hole in the black blanket that covers us, through which the light of the gods shines down upon us and spites, people lacking in melanin.
And burns your skin while you're at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, burns your skin. So, that guy.
That one.
Yeah, so...
Well, as possibly the most popular member of the Astrology Club, the sun is the one whose sign most people know. If you know nothing about astrology, you at least have probably been told by somebody that you're, an Aquarius.
Right.
We'll say, since we're in Aquarius season right now.
Sure.
And that has to do with which section of the zodiac the sun is in at the time of your birth.
Which is easily determined by our calendar. Follows the movements of the sun. Okay? Right. And so we can look at a calendar and we can say, I know where the sun was at the day of your birth. The rest of the planets, you can't tell from the calendar. You have to do a birth chart. So that's why sun sign astrology has taken a leading role in our pop astrology.
Right. It's just the most accessible. It's the easiest to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're like me, one day during the plague lockdown, you were sitting in your house and went, well, I'm really bored and I've run through everything else. Let's look into something dumb like astrology. And then you're looking at it and you go, oh, hey, there's actually a lot more than the sun. And it starts getting a lot more personal and specific as you get past the sun. But that is not to say that the sun doesn't tell us about something about the aspect of who you are, which is why it's there in the first place. So what is it that can be determined by the sun? What is it that it shows us?
So I always talk about the sun being our sense of identity, who we feel like we are. It may not translate out, but internally we are like this. I think it's more prominent to a person who is born during the day, when the sun is what we call the sect light. People who are born at night can sometimes struggle with their sun sign identity, and those often are the people who are like, I don't believe in astrology because I don't feel like a Leo, or a whatever. The first thing I would do is I would look at their chart and go, you're born at night, so you may identify more with your moon sign.
Okay. Right. And I think that we've touched on that a little bit in previous episodes, the idea of sect lights and how, depending on what time of day you're born at, it affects the way that you feel the expression of each planet and which ones are more noticeable and which ones are less noticeable. So the easiest way to tell which luminary is the more prominent in your chart is just by looking, if you have the wheel, if you have the radix, is the sun on the top or on the bottom? Like above that line or below that line. It's that simple. For a little while, when I first started studying astrology, I think you probably remember, I was like, I don't know which one I am. Because I was born like just a few minutes past sunrise, and the sun is barely above the horizon line. But that's all it takes, is barely above or barely below. And then you just gotta kind of make that call of, yeah, it's day or it's night. There may be some level of secret third thing where if you were born at dawn or dusk, there's some blend of them. But for the sake of simplicity, we just say either day or night.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the sun being in Aquarius right now, Aquarius is directly opposite to Leo, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So Leo is the sign of the sun's domicile. It is where the sun likes being most. That is the sun's own home. That is where the sun rules from. Being directly across, one of the easy patterns to follow in the zodiac is that when it's directly across from it, then it's in its detriment, right? It has the least power there.
It's the farthest away that it can from its home that it can possibly get, and home is a symbol of strength and power. So if you're as far away from the strength and power as you can get, you have a little debilitation.
Okay, so what does a debilitation to the sun manifest as for a person, or what might that look like?
Yeah, so I would think that would be, issues with the identity. Like I don't feel I'm supposed to be like this. Either my chart or my society or my culture or my family expects me to be like this, but I'm not. I don't feel like I am, and I have to hide that. I would think that would be a really common way. And there's other ideas. There's could be diagnoses where ADHD or that kind of thing where the identity just isn't functioning the way that it could, should, whatever.
That's interesting that you bring that up, that it can play into like ADHD. One of the things that I've come to sort of understand about the sun is that it has to do with your attention, with your focus, what you are shining your light on in this world. And so if your sun is debilitated, you might be trying to shine your light on a whole lot of things at once and not really very thoroughly illuminating one thing at a time.
Right.
So the sun has two other signs, one in which it has more and one in which it has less power. It is exalted in Aries, which is like if it's at a friend's house the sun is this person's best friend. In this case, it would be Mars. He goes over there and never has to eat leftovers and gets the best spot on the couch. And if he asks the channel to be changed on the TV, they change the channel on the TV, is exalted. He does not have the freedom to go and start rifling through the cupboards, but he also doesn't have to fix anything. He just gets the best of the best for what's there. And then, again, on the opposite side of the chart from Aries is Libra. So the sun is in fall, is the opposite of exaltation in the sign of Libra. So I actually have the sun in the sign of Libra. And I also have symptoms of ADHD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, that said, let's not correlate, because I have a sun in Cancer, neither debilitated nor exalted nor in domicile. And I also have a diagnosis of ADHD. So we're not equating a debilitated sun with ADHD. It's just an idea of one way that could show up.
Yeah.
But there's no I don't think there's any correlation like that where we go,
right.
All Aquariuses have,
Certainly not.
No.
Go around telling a bunch of air signs all of their minds don't work quite right. I don't think that would
that's
fly
mean.
so
That's
well.
Just mean. Don't don't torment the air signs.
We love the air signs. We love you. So in natal astrology, we have the sun sign is your identity, and it has to do with your attention, what you're shining your light on in this world. And I believe it also tends to be one of the things we would look at to represent the yang energy parent in your life. Some people would call that the father. For some people it's not a father, it's another individual. And that's typically more going to be if the sun is the sect ruler, right? If the sun is in a day chart, then you would look at it to see information about the father, right?
Yeah, I am just starting to kind of play with this idea, and so I couldn't really say honestly whether it's more effective in highlighting or spotlighting the father or the father-like parent.
Okay.
As it's sect-like or not. I don't have that. If you have that.
Okay.
If you know that.
I know that in horary, for whatever level of crossover there is, in a day chart, the sun is going to be the father, and in a night chart, it's going to be more represented by Jupiter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think that carries over to natal astrology as well.
I had not come across that.
Okay.
And I have not really, tested that with my client base. So.
Okay. Yeah, and it's kind of I haven't done that many natal charts for people, and I don't typically do that much digging into like the dad, but for some of them that I have done where I have talked about that, one time I was sitting and reading my god family's charts together. I was looking at godmom, goddad, and godbrother all at the same time, and comparing their charts and telling them about this and that. And, it did seem to hit for them that the experience of the kid in the family did line up with having sun in X house in X sign. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's a fairly reliable thing
Yeah.
that you can look at. I don't know if it works all of the time, but it has worked the few times that I've looked into it. Yeah. So speaking of horary, in addition to that, the sun is described as being hot, dry, diurnal, so daytime, and masculine, or yang energy. He can represent uniqueness, royalty, things that are literally golden. The sun promotes life, honesty, food, and metals. Kingly animals like lions or eagles, diamonds, pride, leaders, goldsmiths, money minters, the stone amber, grand buildings. Here I have fathers and day charts, vital spirit, the heart, the brain, the eyes, also the right eye in men, the left eye in women, or however that could be described for people's identity. I haven't found too many books that are really get into an examination of modern day interpretation of these ideas of masculine and feminine energy. But as we've gone over in previous episodes, there's wiggle room there for people's expression, and it's not saying always an AMAB boy or an AFAB girl or anything like that. It just kind of has to do with the individual and their energy more than anything.
Things the sun is not.
Things the sun is not? What isn't the sun?
The sun is not the ultimate determinator of your personality. So saying that I am a Cancer does not mean that is how I show up in the world. There is that piece. There is we all have Cancer in our zodiac, and I have a couple placements there. but it does not mean that I'm out there, grabbing a hold of people and trying to nurture everybody left, right, and center, Something else the sun is not.
Other things the sun is not is it's not the moon, it's not Venus, it's not Saturn, it's not all of these other parts of what indicates a person.
Right.
Sometimes a sun can be in what we might refer to as such bad shape in a chart that you might have the sun in Aquarius, but very little Aquarius comes out for you. You are far more in line with your Sagittarius Venus and your Jupiter in Pisces and your moon in Virgo. You can have a lot of other things that show up much more prominently than just your sun, because it's always going to be part of who you are, but it is never going to be all of or even the majority of who you are. I think it's really fun when people can talk to somebody for a little bit and say, I think you are an blank. I think you are a Gemini, just based on your talkativeness, your interest in many subjects, whatever they might say about that.
Right.
And I think it's great when people can get that right, because I'm really bad at that every once in a while.
I'm honestly not good at it either. I had a couple people the other day trying to get me to play, and I went along with it, but I was terrible at it. I never did guess the sun sign for either one of them, even though they gave me weird random hints, but it's just not. My brain is already running on the complexity so much that trying to distill things down into a single sign out of 1 out of 12.
Right.
I just have trouble with it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an intuitive psychic trick some people can do,
right,
or skill that they have, but honestly it is I see the usefulness of it pretty much ending there. It's a neat hat trick.
It's a party trick.
Yeah, really cool, but you're not going to be able to learn much more past that based on just the astrology. If you're already intuiting things about a person, then, maybe you can get a lot more out of that. But you are not just reading their sun sign. You might also be picking up on the energies that are projected by their ascendant or their moon, and, a combination of these things. And if you can sit there and guess each of a person's placements, that's really impressive.
That's incredible.
You don't even need
you
don't even need an astrology program or to look up at the sky. You can just tell, I can tell you have the sun at 15 degrees 36 minutes of,
or even
Taurus.
just your Mars is in Cancer and your Saturn is in,
right.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things that are in conversation with the sun, that are connecting with it, that are either giving the sun the ability to really project, or things that are challenging the sun and making it difficult for that energy to be super bright. But you don't have to have a super bright sun to be a full valuable person. Some people have a lot more Mars energy than sun energy, and they're still great people. They're still awesome people.
Yeah. Now, we've been talking about things that the sun is not, but I did want to mention one thing that the sun can do that we don't tend to see in other planets, which is a solar return.
Yeah.
So what the solar return means is that when the sun comes back to the exact spot that it was when you were born, we cast a chart for that moment. And it's a predictive chart for the following year. It's very fun. It's very, it's like I've worked with people, I've looked at their solar return chart at the end of their solar year. And, as I'm talking about, well, this and this, they're like, well, that happened. Here's how that happened. Here's what it looked like, So that was really fun and interesting to get to see it in retrospect. But, there can be, the sun is, of course, always in the same place. But everything else is free to move. And it's very interesting how things tend to work out with a solar return predictive chart. I love it.
Yeah. You did my solar return chart for me for my birthday this last year, and some of that has already come to pass. Some of the indications I was realizing the other day too, I'm already a quarter of the way through my solar year, and that seems pretty weird because it's barely next year already. So sun in the first house.
Brilliant. So sun in the first house tends to make someone really fairly extroverted, and if not extroverted, just they just shine. They just emanate this metaphorical light from within them. People are drawn to them. They tend to be fairly fortunate. It's a nice placement, sun in first.
Okay. And that would bring their focus does that mean that they're focusing on themselves?
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
It could be.
Okay. Sun in the second house, advisors and movable wealth and that sort of thing. Does that mean that we're going to be looking more at our possessions or, metaphorical possessions?
Yes, and or values.
Okay.
Also, I have heard that, like having Mars in the first, having the sun in the first, it is like a hole burned in the pocket.
Oh.
And so, the native cannot...
In the second?
In the second.
Okay.
The native cannot keep money.
Ah.
Money just kind of, they have it and then they don't have it anymore. It's like, where did it go? I don't know.
I didn't come here to be attacked.
Well, I have the sun in the second. So.
Oh, you do? Okay, I've got Mars in the second, so we're living that life.
We're a pair here.
Sun in the third, elementary education and short trips and siblings.
Yeah. Some astrologers also put communication in this, even though Mercury is also about communication. But this is going to be someone, I would say, more than likely they have a great relationship with their siblings. They are, popular and well known in their neighborhoods. They're places that they go frequently. People, people know who they are. They are, any place where you have the sun, it's impossible to miss. It's impossible to overlook.
Okay. And then sun in fourth house, so father and home of origin and roots, ancestry, that sort of thing. Are we going to be looking at people who are interested in land speculation or just real earthy folks?
Yes, I mean both. I think both work.
Okay.
Both work. It's a just an intense focus, a high priority, high importance on the home.
Okay.
And or the family of origin.
All right. Yeah. Sun in fifth house is going to be our fun and recreation and creativity. Is there anything else that you would put into fifth house?
Fifth house, yeah, I would put artistry of any kind. Music, visual arts, whatever. Anything that the native does. And when I refer to the native, that's just the owner of the chart. Anything that the native does that just feels like that, that flourish that you have with artistry.
Okay.
Children also.
Yeah.
Sexuality. I think that's everything.
Yeah. So if you have sun in 5th house, it's going to be a lot of focus in that area.
Yeah, you're gonna really like having your fun.
Okay.
You know, all of your fun pursuits are going to be really important to you, and really, and probably you'll be pretty good at.
Okay. Yeah. And then sun in 6th house, which is going to be employment or people you employ, your routines and habits, and small animals, as well as hospitalization and illness, right?
Right. I talk about health of the body with the 6th house.
Okay.
This is just so I think these are all going to be fairly positive, fairly uplifting. So far, the only place the sun has been any kind of problem is in that 2nd house, in the hole in the pocket.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a focus and an emphasis on on health of the body. This may be somebody who's like really one of those fitness fitness people that they're at the gym all the time, or they have a really healthy diet,
Okay.
really taking good care of themselves. Employment and people that you employ, those relationships are generally pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty happy.
Because we generally consider the sun to be fairly benefic.
Fairly.
In most positions, right?
Yeah.
He's not overly lucky, but also typically doesn't do much to mess you up.
Right. I mean, the sun is the source of all light in all the universe. Right? Or not all the universe.
In our universe.
In our solar system. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're generally really dependent on that light. We really, that's a general good thing.
Okay.
So
yeah, brings all of life being dependent on the light of the sun and originating from the light of the sun.
Right.
Okay.
All the light in our solar system.
Yeah. And then 7th house is partnerships. Is kind of the broadest way to put it. Most of the time in good terms, that's romantic partnerships, business partnerships, your very best friend. That sort of thing. And in horary, open enemies and thieves also get put into the 7th house. But I feel like we see that less in natal astrology.
Yeah.
In natal astrology, typically it's just your beau or your bestie type of thing. Maybe business partners, right?
Right.
So if you have the sun in the 7th, that's going to give a lot of focus onto relationships, right?
Right. And a generally positive, I would, if someone had sun in 7th, I would generally expect for them to, be pretty positive about their relationships.
Okay. Yeah.
Of whatever ilk,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8th house is shared resources, inheritances, other people's money. So it can look like things to do with, you got an inheritance from your great uncle, Jimbo, and he did or didn't leave you things, but it can also be the resources you share with your partner, right? To touch briefly onto turning a wheel, if the 7th house is your partner, then the 2nd house from the 7th is the 8th house, so it's your partner's resources. And so you might see, and then I think also occult subjects get put into the 8th house kind of commonly.
Okay.
Moderns would put sex into the 8th house, but we tend to keep sex more to the 5th house, being like fun and creativity. But also death falls into the 8th house.
Yes.
So people who are like morticians, I would almost certainly expect to see 8th house activity going on in their
connection
chart, right?
to career or whatever.
Yeah. So if you have the sun in the 8th house, it's going to give you focus onto those things.
Right.
How have you seen that play out for people?
So I've talked with, I had a can't share this.
Oops.
I've had clients where I've been talking about them needing help, or they have been talking about needing help. And I put that in the 8th house, help.
Okay.
It's resources, and it's resources that you need, but that someone else has. If I'm helping you, I'm sharing my resources with you in
Right.
whatever way. Could be
Right.
just time, could be some money, could be whatever. The sun there tends to, it would probably be less likely that you have to ask for that help.
Okay.
When there are like business relationships or joint checking account kind of situations, those tend to be generally pretty positive.
Okay.
Okay, so just I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. It's pretty positive, but
And then, so 9th house
yeah.
is going to be spirituality, long distance travel, and higher education, right? Like university level education.
Yeah, and 9th house is where I tend to see occult topics.
Yeah, because it's something that requires a lot of study and deeper learning.
It's study, and it's something, because I talk about higher education, and then I immediately back up and say that's not necessarily talking about getting a degree. It's something that you undertake to learn because you want to know it.
Okay,
which encompasses so much, but definitely all the occult topics.
Okay, right.
So.
And then moving right along into 10th house. 10th house is your career, right? And like what you're most known for, as well as the
your just kind of your purpose.
Okay.
What you're what you feel like you were put on earth to do. Is
it? I've kind of thought of it as being what you're most known for, because it's the most visible part of the sky.
That is the midheaven, the MC.
So that's the angle that sometimes falls in the 10th, but not
sometimes
always.
falls in the 10th.
Okay.
If depending on the house system, most house systems, they kind of nail the midheaven to the beginning of the 10th house. When I practice astrology, I'm using whole signs, and the midheaven floats and moves, which gives us, I think, an additional layer of information about, about the native, where we can go, not only, is their reputation about their career, in which case it's in the 10th house, or are they known for something besides their career?
Right.
Or known for something else, Yeah. There's a really fascinating history of Neil Armstrong and the midheaven.
Okay.
And it's, just Google it. It's very interesting.
Okay.
So
then 11th house is going to be groups of associations, as well as like circles of friends. Not like your bestie like the 7th, but general people, your interlopers,
right.
the people that you associate with.
Your posse.
Your posse, right. And some people would also throw, they would throw the Girl Scouts in there, because that's my group of people that I associate with and work with.
Sure.
Are there other significant indications from the 11th house? I know that it can be like money from like the jobs, resources type of thing as well that we can look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then 12th house is secrets and self-undoing. So if you have sun in the 12th house, I have definitely heard of that having to do with making some difficulty in knowing who you are, because it's hidden from you in the position that it's in.
Yes. Yeah. Stuff in the 12th is not really visible to you. Other people can see it, but you cannot. And so, having something, come out of nowhere is a very common 12th house experience.
Okay.
But yeah, your sun, also, a lot of 12th house placements, and I have seen this happening with the sun specifically, gives the native a little bit of a different experience. I know one person who has experiences with entities, and they see them come into the room and sit down, and they communicate with them. I know another who's actually has had some similar kind of experiences, but a little different, but entities that have passed on.
Okay, interesting. So like illuminating what's typically hidden could be like an interpretation of that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so kind of a little bit of a psychic experience.
Okay.
Or psychic abilities, I think, is a possibility.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have made it all the way around all 12 houses, and we have addressed some of the more basic indications of the sun. So let us know what you think. If there is anything that you would like to add to the conversation, please throw that into the comments, and we will see that and be able to interact with you there. In addition, you can reach us at our website linked below, or our email addresses, and we would love to hear from you. And thanks for being here. We look forward to seeing you guys again next time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy days. Happy sunny days.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of Aquarius season, folks. Deuces.
Hey. To keep getting more astrology with Sunny and Boots, like and subscribe.
To talk with Sunny in an astrological consultation, visit sunnysastrology.com to schedule an appointment. To reach Sunny and Boots about the show, email us at contact@astrologyafpodcast.com.